The Maison Jaboulet settled in the valley of the Rhône at the foothill of the Hermitage in 1834, when it began to cultivate the first Hermitage and Gros Hermitage, the house's historical appellations. Well did Paul Jaboulet grasp the fabulous potential of the region's various soils, and all the generations which have followed in his wake have laboured likewise, which allows us today to boast such prestigious appellations as Côte-Rôtie, Condrieu or Cornas. Today we tend to our vineyards on these great soils, and particularly the Syrah, the grandest variety of our red wines. It is this passion which drives us, and it is this passion we wish to transmit through our great wines to our customers around the world. Here we are in the cellar that harbours all the secrets of the Maison Paul Jaboulet Aîné, all the great wines which have forged the history of our house. Here you will find the Gros Hermitage de Maine de Talabert, vintage of 78, a benchmark year, or the Côte-Rôtie Les Jumelles, vintage of 85. Then there is the famous Hermitage La Chapelle, of which we have a few magnums of the 59 vintage and a few small bottles of the 1961. The mythical vintage of La Chapelle Hermitage, recognised as one of the world's grandest wines.
Paul Jaboulet's wines offer a superb gateway to the northern and central sections of the Rhône Valley. Along with the expertise of generations of winemakers, the major estate wines produced by our house stem from exceptional soils across an area containing prestigious varieties. To the north, near the town of Ampuis, in one of the oldest vineyards in France, the Les Jumelles stands of Syrah belonging to the Côte-Rôtie are firmly rooted in small, very steep granitic terraces. These vines, planted some 40 years ago, produce a fine, delicate wine with shades of violets and cassis, with floral hints. A little further south, the house of Paul Jaboulet produces the rare and sought-after white wines, Les Cassines, a Condrieu variety with green aspects, scents of white flowers, citrus and exotic fruits. The Viognier grape, the only variety permitted for this type of wine, inhabits steep terraced slopes. This grape contributes to the freshness and roundness of this very special wine. Remaining on the right bank of the Rhône, we arrive at the official domain of Cornas. Located on a high plateau, the Domaine de Saint-Pierre looks out over the valley from 400 meters above the river. Facing directly south, the Syrah vines, some nearly 60 years old, weave between the granite boulders. A perfect wine to lay down, the Domaine de Saint-Pierre is robust and elegant in character and harbours notes of spice, licorice and red berry. Much further down south, between Avignon and Orange, lies a mythical village, the name of which is famed around the world. Châteauneuf-du-Pape dominates the Comtat plain and its age-old grapevines. The soft, sun-bathed pebbled slopes offer an ideal soil for the Grenache, the Syrah and the Mourvèdre, the region's three traditional vines. Here, the Maison Paul Jaboulet produces a balanced wine with a complex, intense bouquet of red fruits blended with sweet spices, the Domaine de Terre Ferme. On the opposite bank of the river, the Domaine de Talabert has been owned by the House of Jaboulet since 1834. This is a plains vineyard, the oldest forming part of the Gros Hermitage variety, and certainly one of the most outstanding. The Talabert Red is a wine that is both robust and extremely refined, a wine which becomes intense and complex with age, providing aromas of black berries and hints of toasted bread. La Mule Blanche, the estate's white wine, comes from a combination of Marsanne and Roussanne. A beautiful yellow colour, it is a full-bodied wine with aromas of white-fleshed fruits, of pears, and bearing hints of acacia. Again, in Gros Hermitage, the House of Paul Jaboulet produced another great wine in 1995, the Domaine de Reur. In contrast to its neighbour from Talabert, these vines are grown on a granitic hillside overlooking the valley, an extension of the Hermitage Ridge. Here, the granite lends the wine a lovely mineral character and gives it density. The Syrah plants clinging to dizzying slopes, produce a dense, rocky red wine with delicate, subtle aromas of tiny red berries mixed with spices. The Maison vines, some more than 100 years old, produce a white that combines robustness, complexity and balance. As one moves closer to Tain-l'Hermitage, one draws nearer to the myth surrounding this tiny chapel, which, down the years, has become a major landmark for wine lovers.
We are sat on the Hermitage hillside, one of the finest wine-growing lands in the world. It is a truly unique and exceptional location for wine growing. It has been shaped over the centuries by shifts in glaciers and by the course of the Rhône River, and thus hosts a wide variety of soil types. On the western flank of the hill, known as Les Bazards, we find an outcropping of the granite base, and more towards the centre, in the Mial section, there are glacial moraines, those large folds brought in by the river that reflect light and hold in heat. This provides a microclimate that is propitious for the ripening of the Syrah grape.
Les Bessards, Les Roucoulets, Le Mial, all magical names that echo with great promise of vintage years to come. With full southern exposure, the only one of its kind in the Rhône Valley, the Hermitage hillside enjoys maximum sunlight all year round. Sated with sun, the Syrah bunches are carefully nurtured by the poor Jaboulet team until perfectly ripe. It is from these exceptional soils and this ever-constant care that we derive the house standard-bearer, La Chapelle Hermitage, one of the world's finest wines. This is a wine with sharply marked characteristics, highly complex with rich scents of black berries, woodland shrubs and sweet spices, and hints of black truffles. A second Hermitage vintage, La Petite Chapelle, designed to be drank at a young age, is produced annually. Marsanne and Roussanne vines were also planted on the hillside by house wine growers nearly a century ago. By combining these varieties, our Jaboulet teams produce a superb Hermitage white wine, the Chevalier de Sterenberg. This is a gorgeous, full-bodied wine with peach and apricot aromas. Finally, in homage to the past, the House of Paul Jaboulet has decided once more to produce its famous Chapelle Blanc white wine. La Marsanne, together with the exceptional soils of the Roucoulet Plateau, endow this excellent white with its mineral aspects and its aromatic complexity, and La Chapelle Blanc is ideal for laying down. September draws to a close, and the grape harvesters are already hard at work. On the slopes, the work is hazardous. These dizzying slopes, covered with slippery pebbles, are tough to manage. Today the sun is out, but the rains may return tomorrow, and the vines will not wait. We have decided to harvest the grapes for two reasons. Firstly, based on analysis, the grapes have attained an adequate level of concentration, and the acid balance is satisfactory. Secondly, and most importantly, the taste of the grape has reached the ideal point of balance. The tannins are powerful and silky, and the colour indicates that the flavour of the grape can be drawn from the skin. Tomorrow, weather conditions may change, so the harvest must commence immediately. At Jaboulet, all of our harvesting is done by hand. This is a key phase that allows us to consolidate all of the hard work invested in the vines throughout the year. And it's a question of preserving our grapes. We do not crush them and prefer to remove them from the slopes in small boxes before storing in the cellar. This phase is also critical to the quality of the wine. The harvester makes the first selection, choosing the most beautiful and ripest bunches, and then from each bunch, the best individual grapes. We therefore bring to the cellar the best and most fully ripe grapes from which we can make the finest wines. In the heartland of the famous Vignium, sheltered by the limestone cliffs of ancient Roman quarries, the winemaking process continues. Placed under ideal conditions in terms of humidity and temperature, the wines of the House of Jaboulet lie serenely in oak barrels, fabricated by some of the most renowned French barrel makers. Here, the Hermitage La Chapelle is the centre of attention. Derived from a single variety, the Syrah, it is nevertheless produced by blending. Use is made of wines from the Mial and the Bessardes, or of those from other areas of the ridge, with the choice varying from year to year, but the objective remains the same, to attain the highest degree of excellence and do justice to the myth. Hermitage La Chapelle, millésime 2007, from the Mial Ridge.
We're beginning to get a lovely wood flavour.
With a nice nose of tiny red berries, delicately spiced. Superb.
Where are we in the maturation process?
3 weeks after the second drawing off, I find that one can clearly detect how the various types of barrel wood are assimilated, a lovely blending of the tannins.
You really find the full nature of the Mial variety in this year's wine, the rich velvety aspect.
Add a hint of influence from the Bessardes and we will have the full complexity required to produce the final blend. The harvests are drawing to a close, and the October sun caresses the walls of the tiny chapel of Saint Christophe. What better than to gather at the crest of the hill to toast the hard work and savour the fruits of a job well done? And to taste a chapelle, a moment to share, here on the slopes of the Rhône Valley.